Hi, Kim. How are you today?
I'm so excited to be here with you. How are you?
I am so excited to be here with you too. And I feel like we have this little cozy Zoom room. Like we both kind of just, for those of you who are listening, we just crouched kind of forward
Yeah.
as if we're like two girls about to have like some sort of juicy chat.
Yes, that's what it feels like. I'm so excited.
Yeah, it is going to be a juicy chat. And I love the topic of nutrition in general and obviously wellness. That's what Soulful's all about. However, as I was sharing with you before we got on the call, like what I love is I really seem to love your philosophy. It's like there's this realness about you that I
Mm,
feel like I could relate to you and that whatever goodness that you're going to share with me, I need to trust.
I like that. I like that. And that's not the first time I've heard that.
Mhm.
People say to me all the time when they first meet me, I feel like we were best friends or we are best friends. And like I can just share with you. So I appreciate that sense. And that's the sense that you give off too, by the way.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, I feel, like attracts like. Sometimes like doesn't attract like. However,
Yeah.
both can work out.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because I have to ask you, I have to be like a little LA woo, but like, what's your sign?
What do you think? It depends on what astrologer you're asking,
Ooh,
right? So the
interesting. Oh yeah.
Western astrologer would say a Taurus with a Capricorn moon and a Leo rising. And an Asterian astrologer would say I was an Aries.
Ooh, interesting. Oh, so I'm a Libra, and Aries and Libras get along really well.
Yeah.
It wasn't until I had my second daughter that yeah, I was having an Aries, and people were basically like, "Oh my gosh, like it's going to be really hard." And I was
Oh,
like, "What are you
wow.
talking about?" Because I didn't know any Aries at the time. But
Wow.
what I see about Aries, and I actually see this in you, you're very clear.
Mm,
Like when in your delivery, it is like a very clear understanding of like I was watching you do something on like some laser treatment or something you were doing or something, and
maybe.
or you went to some wellness spa.
Oh, last week. Yes. And I had,
Yes,
yes.
and I was like, oh, I felt very clear about the benefits of me going there.
That's nice because you should.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And when I hear you give delivery around anything related to nutrition, I also feel that. So,
Yeah, I appreciate that because I will tell you when people hear that I'm a dietitian or I'm going to talk about food or nutrition in general, people, their perception and their fear kind of kicks in over like what is going to happen now, right? And that is I want to like get rid of that stigma. I want everyone to be able to feel really good and open-minded about this conversation and not bring any past into it, which is really interesting.
yeah, it is interesting because as we know, it's interesting. Years ago, I had to bring my daughter to a plastic surgeon, and she said to me, I brought her because she had to get stitches. And so she said to me, "Do you ever work with plastic surgery offices?" And I said, "I don't." She's like, "I'm really looking to hire somebody that can come in to help women feel better about themselves after the process."
Mm,
Because what happens is, as we know, we're searching for something. And then you get there and you're like, "Oh, okay, is that it?" And am I still happy, right? Like
yeah,
am I fulfilled? And I also notice that you're very realistic,
yeah,
about like there's not a body type.
yeah.
I love that kind of conversation because especially growing up in LA, there's always this thought about like I have to look a certain way, body type, looks wise, all of it. And it's exhausting.
Yeah, it is exhausting. And I think I have spent 95% of my career focused on what happens the day after somebody loses weight.
Mm,
So it's
that's
interesting.
beautiful
It's interesting that you even brought that up with the
with the
plastic
plastic surgeon.
surgery.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like anytime a client comes to me, they will say like, I want to lose weight. And I will look at them and say, that's actually not what you want.
Hmm.
What you really want is to learn how to maintain that weight loss.
Hmm.
And the focus has to be on the practice,
Hmm. Yeah.
right? And so it's really about how do I live this way?
Yeah, and how do I identify with myself, right? So it's
Yeah.
like, we're kind of like blending some coaching in here, right? So it's like when I think about it, a lot of times similar to you, clients will come and be like, I just want a new job. I'm like, it's not about the new job, and it's never about a job. Like it is about your whole
Yeah.
life, and how do you view yourself? Like what do you view as happiness? What do you view as fulfilled, right? That's really interesting. So I love to hear the fact that you're focusing on what is it in the afterlife almost, right?
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like what we talked about, this idea of soulful,
Hmm.
right? I'm just going to give you a little backstory because I think this is interesting. I
Love
was
this story.
I would have called myself a sick kid back in the day. In 1986, I was sick, and there was only 8 people who had been born with like my defect in the same way. So 1986 medicine was not where it is today. And I had a few different surgeries and spent a lot of time in and out of UCLA.
Wow.
And when I was driving to one of my doctor's appointments, I was a very shy, quiet 12-year-old who was also in a lot of pain.
Mm,
And I happened to have been crying on this particular day. And my mom said to me, "Don't cry. We're going to go shopping after this doctor appointment."
mm,
And what she did was give me the greatest gift ever. She gave me a place to put my mind because it was not comfortable inside my body.
mm,
And it really cemented and kind of like created a shopping addiction, as you can
mm.
imagine. But a few years later, a doctor mentor of mine, told me that food could make a person sick or healthy. And I was like, that's it.
It was
I
like this
want to be
thing.
healthy. Yeah, I want to
Yeah.
be healthy, and so does the rest of the world.
Hmm.
And I chose to go and study food and nutrition science and clinical nutrition. And I started a private practice because I wanted to have these relationships with my clients. I didn't want it to be, short term. And one of my first clients was a therapist, and I helped her lose 30 pounds. I put her on a
Wow.
diet. I was like so impressed with myself. I did such
Mm.
a good job. I got her off all her medications. And then she said to me, I'm going to gain the weight back. And
Whoa.
I thought, why why would you
Uh,
do this?
yeah.
She was
Why are
probably
you
my
saying that
age
out
now.
loud
Yeah.
too, by the way? Yeah.
Yeah. She was probably like in her 50s, and I was at this time like 27, 28.
Mm.
And she said, my husband wants to be intimate with me all the time, and I was molested as a child.
Oh, wow.
And this was the moment that I started realizing that it wasn't about food.
Hmm.
And I started really recognizing that my clients eat the same way that I shop. And to bring it back to soulful, I started recognizing how we rise to meet people's expectations and how all of our shame and guilt and fear is attached to who you think I'm supposed to be.
Absolutely.
And if I could become more aligned with the fact that I could be anything I want to be in this moment,
Hmm.
right? And so I have spent my entire career getting people, like goading people in that direction of be anything you want. We don't have to have labels here.
Hmm.
You'd be free to have a vegetarian meal and not be a vegetarian.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting because you're right. Well, first of all, we don't live in one lane,
Right.
right? We live in multiple lanes at one time, and it is our choice how we want to show up, right? And it was interesting. I was having this conversation this morning I went back to working out with a trainer I used to work out with years ago. And he was like, why do they get so involved in their children's lives? Why can't they let them just be happy?
Yeah.
And I said, I can't agree with you more because it's like, it doesn't stop. I mean, how old are your children?
22, 19, and 16.
Yeah, so I'm sure you're seeing it now that your kids are like out of school or getting out of
Yeah.
school, and parents are just shepherding them to that next thing. Like, no, you're not going to make enough money at that. So, like, you need to do this and saving them, right?
Yeah.
But then what you're teaching people is how to save and align with yourself.
That's it. That's it.
Yeah. So if I was your client, which I
Mhm.
very well may be at some point, um, what is the process? Do I have to do like an assessment? Do you send me for blood work? And then I'm a little confused. on what the difference is between like a dietitian and a nutritionist and all of that. And then you said something really interesting. I know I'm throwing three things at you at one time, but they all interrelate. Um, about science. So like there's so much science in food.
Yeah, so much science in food. Like it was not my favorite thing, honestly. We had to cook even cupcake, like muffins, and then examine like the holes and like be able to determine like what food or what was the process in the cooking that created the most holes or the least amount of holes. And
So interesting.
food science is a whole thing, but metabolic regulation and biochemistry and microbiology, that's my jam. That's what I like love. And like to bring people back to the realization that they need to be in love with themselves, like so completely in love with themselves, and to see themselves as energy and electrical, and the fact that there's 37 trillion cells in their body that they could light up, and like they have that choice to do every single day. And it's not like I wake up every morning in the best mood. No, I actually have to meditate and do the work to, get
To
there.
feel whole. Yeah,
To
to
feel
actually be
whole.
aligned. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And show up for other people like your client.
100%,
Yeah.
100%.
I would
But
say this to my clients too, because they're like, you have such good energy. I'm like, do you think I don't do work in order to actually have good energy?
yes,
Like, you have to do the
yes,
work, you
yeah.
know?
And like that, those are non-negotiables, right? Like I have
Oh, yeah.
very strict boundaries over like who I let in first thing in the morning or in the beginning of my day because I need that time for myself,
Hmm.
to fill
I'm
up
the same
my,
way.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and especially because like I was just interviewing Sarah Dean from Evolution earlier today, and I've interviewed her before. We're friends, but like the thing is, where we invest our energy and who
Yeah,
we invest our energy with has a direct correlation to how we feel, right?
yeah,
And so I agree. Like first thing in the morning, like I don't want to grab my phone.
right.
Like I don't want to, and sometimes I have to because I have to do social media stuff, and I almost get resentful sometimes.
Mm, yeah, then maybe you should wait a few minutes before you do
Oh
that.
yeah, I don't do it first thing, but it's like sometimes I have people that work on the East Coast sometimes, and I'm like, why are you
Yeah,
writing?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Like,
yeah.
but everybody's trying to be efficient, right? So like
Yeah, it's true. And
I get it.
there's actually, it's interesting that we don't have like 8 to 5 anymore,
Oh, I know, right? It's like they're
5 a.m. to 9 p.m.
oh
Then,
yeah, people are
yeah,
just like texting you at whatever hour, and I'm like, should I answer? Because then they're gonna think I'm available, you know?
yeah, yeah. I mean, I
Yeah.
go to sleep at 9 and I wake up at
Oh
5.
yeah. Oh
So
wow.
like, yeah, I miss
Good
out
job,
on,
Mama. That's
yeah,
amazing. How did you start training yourself to go to bed at 9?
I cannot stay awake.
Wow.
I cannot stay
Were you
awake.
always like that when you were younger?
I think I was a deeper sleeper when I was younger. Would have said I like to sleep in when I was younger. I think I was that person, but now I like it's my favorite time of day to get up and have coffee and to
Love that. Oh,
read, to
for me at
meditate.
5, like I love the 5 o'clock hour. Like that, I
Love
love that.
it.
But going to bed at 9, see, I've not been able to do that.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
I'm really like people will constantly say, like, you need more sleep. You need to go to bed at least by 10. I'm like,
yeah. Yeah, my husband like
I'm
waits for the kids and he's that guy, but I need to go to sleep. Yeah,
that's
so
amazing.
I feel safe that I just can't stay awake
Yeah. Is
at
that
all.
sometimes hard having the age difference too? Because you have like the older kids and then like the younger ones.
Thank God for my husband. He literally has been the one to stay up and, get them at late at night. So I just never could.
That's
Yeah.
beautiful. That's
Yeah.
so nice. What a great partner,
Yeah.
That's
Great.
amazing.
And yeah, and so my kids know I'm going to go to sleep before them.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's just a boundary. This is what I need.
Yeah, I love that because you know what? Most women don't ask for what they want.
It's true.
Yeah. So, okay. So I become your client, and then what do I do?
Okay, so my degree is in human metabolism and clinical nutrition, which means I basically studied everything about food, nutrition, and the business sense of food and nutrition at Boston University. And
Okay.
then we do a 10-month internship in the hospital. So, like you've seen in Grey's Anatomy, where they're doing rounds, that's what dietitians do. And they move through each disease state over a 10-month window, and then they take a very intense exam. We
Mhm.
probably study for 6 months to a year before we take the exam. The exam is like 4.5 hours and it doesn't have a very successful pass rate. And thankfully, I passed, and it was years ago. A nutritionist can be somebody who does a class online, somebody who works at Weight Watchers. Maybe they've had success losing weight, but they don't have the in-depth like
Yeah, all of it.
education that a dietitian would have.
It's a little bit more scientific, it sounds like, more
Yes.
science-based. And then also like something you really mentioned is about metabolism. So I think that's something that women struggle with a lot, particularly the older we get and as we go into perimenopause or menopause, why GLPs became so popular. However, how do you measure someone's metabolism? So why I'm asking in part selfishly, but I'm
Yeah.
sure we will educate my
All
audience,
good.
is
Yeah.
that I think for years I was hypothyroid. And I was always like, we talked about like looking at people's bodies and stuff like that. So I was never the tiny girl. Like, we're both friends with Rachel. She's tiny, right? I was
Yeah.
never the tiny girl. I was always the girl holding everybody and cheerleading. I've always been really strong. When I was younger, I couldn't appreciate it. Now I super appreciate it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
grateful for it. So grateful. But I think I was hypothyroid and it didn't come up until after my second baby.
Yeah. You know why? Because some endocrinologists or primary physicians will look at your blood test and they'll say, oh, you're right on the cusp, but you're fine, you're good enough. And this is where so many women have a hard time. And medicine is really changing. But an aggressive endocrinologist would have looked at that number and said, ooh, you must be having some symptoms. Let's work
Let's
on
look at
that
this
number.
further. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Mhm.
so it really does depend on the doctor. And that's why getting a second and third opinion is always like a really good idea. But I'm also I like to believe that we can put our body back in balance
Oh, I love that.
in almost anything. And so it's just kind of figuring where the imbalance is. And I would have said if you were feeling those symptoms or feeling that, your blood test reflected that. But again, you didn't have a doctor who was aggressive enough to say, we need to do a few further testings and we need to make some lifestyle changes to put you back in balance.
Definitely. So, speaking of blood tests, okay, you could spend an exorbitant amount of money on blood tests, right?
Yeah.
So, when somebody becomes your client, do you do like a bunch of blood panels? So, like, I was talking to Jessica from Next Health last week, and part of why I was speaking with her, of course, they're supporting the event, but also they do like a really detailed blood panel,
Yeah.
like that, like caught markers, like potential markers, like for my heart, which I thought
Yeah.
was
Amazing.
really amazing. So,
Yeah.
like, how do you go about it? Like, what do you do?
Well, usually I assume that everybody's primary is running these tests, right? But when I meet with my client initially, I'm so trained to know what to look for without a blood test.
Mm-hmm.
So I do an extensive like questionnaire over like what's going on with the top of your head all the way to the bottom of your feet, right? I'm asking everything from whether you're itchy, whether your eyes are tearing, whether you get headaches often. Like I'm going through almost everything, and that is going to lead me to I think you might need to be looking at getting some B vitamins or looking at your iron or what is your vitamin D? Like how many colds do you get in a year? How well do you heal from, a cut on your hand,
Yeah.
right? Like I'm looking at everything. And so I don't necessarily need a blood test,
Mm-hmm.
but
Mm-hmm.
it's, anytime that my client is going to get a blood test, I'm like super excited and say, okay, get this, this, and this. But also, blood tests are a moment in time, a snapshot of what is happening in this
That's
moment
so true, by the way,
that may not look the same tomorrow. And also,
depending on what you've eaten. Yeah.
yes, and also a 3-month window, right? So most of the blood test, it's relevant for now, but it changes every 3 months, right? Because that's the half-life of a red blood cell. And so it's good to have those numbers, but I can do a lot without those numbers.
Interesting. So, okay, this might sound woo-woo, but I just have a question. So, do you feel like uh, a good dietitian, or probably like good practitioner in general, uh, can read people really well, meaning like their needs? Or is this purely based upon, so like, okay, well, some of the things I'm learning right now, it's like, for years you're asked by doctors your hereditary history, and you're like, whatever, like grandma cancer, so and so heart, like you don't really care. And then suddenly you're like, oh shit, like
Right.
there's a reason why I need to care. So we need to be thorough about what we're filling out.
I think we do, but I also don't believe that we have to be our genetics or our epigenetics. I think that we can be whoever we want to be in this life. But also because my grandma had a history of that, bringing that awareness is important too, but not being caught up in it.
I love that. So you don't like to label someone so that that's their alibi, so to speak.
Yeah.
Possibly.
I would say 100%.
Yeah, I feel that way too. Like that's actually one of the reasons why I chose not to be a therapist, because I felt like it was like giving someone a diagnosis that they could hang their hat on something, right? And I feel like it's so important to empower people. So what I'm
Yeah.
hearing you say is you like to empower your clients,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. Yeah, there's a great line that I heard and that I like to reuse over and over. And it is, if you had the choice to be healthy, would you make it?
Mm.
And, every one of my clients says, of course. And then I'll remind them that they don't.
Exactly. So it sounds like what you do is you hold a mirror for them.
That's what I try. And also to love all the parts that they see. That
Mhm.
is not an easy thing. This morning I had a client who is in her 20s who has a history of disordered eating and took a GLP-1 and is slowly weaning off of it and getting to know her hunger and her appetite. I would say almost for the first time in her life because she's never, she lost a lot of weight, so she didn't have a big appetite when she started, and now she has no appetite because the medication is too strong for her at this
Oh, wow.
point. So we're weaning off of it or extending the days so she can get to know her appetite, but she's got a lot of fear because she has a history of a disordered past. And in her she calls her younger self a meatball.
Mm,
And like when you hold up that mirror, like she has to love all the parts of herself.
mhm,
And when she was eating or when she ate too much at that young age, it was really like me shopping at 12. And I can appreciate how important it was to be somewhere other than my body, right?
mhm.
And we
Yeah.
have to find gratitude in that and appreciation before we can move on.
Mhm. Yeah, because the thing is you have to change the foundation, right?
Yeah,
And if we don't shift the foundation, then you keep repeating a pattern, right?
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's almost unlearning.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Hmm.
it's a lot of unlearning and then feeling safe. There's
Hmm.
a quote I love. If this cage right now feels like an ill, no, if this illness right now feels like a cage, please try to hear me. The door is unlocked and you are free to go.
Mm,
And the reason I have learned that people stay in the cage, in that discomfort of the cage, is because it's so comfortable.
exactly.
And they haven't really decorated what it looks like outside the cage. And so that's so scary. And nobody wants to do anything that they don't know how it's going to be.
Yeah. In addition, I feel that people like to stay in their stories because it creates a safety house, like you said. So
Yeah, but maybe they didn't know they had a new choice.
yeah, and that's where we come in.
Yeah.
Is because we give them opportunity to think differently and to open their mind to possibilities. And so envision for me like your ideal client. Like give me a success story and then give me like your hardest case.
Oh my God, that's like so tricky. Successes they look different all the time. So is it the client who successfully lost weight and kept it off? Or is it the client who every time she was driving home from visiting her children, she would stop and buy chocolate bars?
Mm,
Mostly because home was a hard place to be since her husband died, and she was trying to extend the time she wasn't at home.
mm,
So for her, success would be not having the chocolate,
mm,
knowing she can, but not needing it anymore in that same way. So that's hard to say what is my most success because I think it shows up in a million different ways all the time, if that makes sense.
yeah, because not every client is the same, right? And what I'm hearing you say is that you love problem solving, meaning like no matter what
Yes.
client it is, you love the opportunity to individuate.
Yes. Like, let's look at your patterns.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Totally.
And figure
Yeah.
out why. And then let's change that. Yeah.
I played mahjong last weekend for the first time. You know how
Love it. It's
everything's
my
very
favorite.
popular these
Yeah.
days, right? And because I've been like working and during the week, I can't really play it. And most people want to play during the day. And obviously they're wah, wah, wah. So, anyways, um, but I played last weekend and I was just observing patterns and just not really human behavior patterns, right? But like patterns, like I love patterns of numbers,
Mm,
right?
me
Because
too.
yeah, it's like a visual thing. And then of course, because of the whole spirituality thing, I was like looking at the patterns for like certain things. And then, it's so funny. Anyways, off topic.
Wait, hold on. What's like your favorite number pattern?
777.
Interesting. Okay. I like that too, but I'm more like 222.
I like 2222, but like 2222. But like my birthday is the 7th. So I always get like caught on, I don't know. And then I think of seven as change, you know,
Yeah,
and I like to create change, I think. So that's probably.
that's amazing. Yeah.
Mm.
But my birthday is 22. So
Oh,
also, isn't
yeah.
that funny that we're like
Wait, so is your
really
birthday March 22nd?
April 22nd?
Oh, okay.
Because I'm a Taurus in Western astrology.
Yeah, totally. So my daughter's birthday is March 22nd.
Oh, I
So
love that. That's
anyways,
awesome.
that's why I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah. I mean, I love
So
synchronicities too.
exactly. Yeah, me too. I'm all over that. Like, look at all our commonalities. Our first official date together is on a Zoom podcast.
Yeah, I love it.
Look at us. We're going to go on a second date for sure.
I love the number two. So let's do it.
Exactly. Exactly. Oh, yeah, exactly. It's so funny. So, and then tell me about like challenging times. So, like, as a dietitian, you're not just providing a service, you have a business. So like the thing about Opportunity Knocks and what I do is through the integration of business and wellness, right? So you have a practice, right? Uh, is it challenging being a mother having a practice? Have you found that you've had to set boundaries around that? Or are you really, it seems like you're really good at boundaries if you're going to bed at 9.
Yeah, I haven't had a problem. I mean, in the past I've had off like an office that I used to go to and now I work from home. But when my kids were younger, I had help because I was always going to work.
Mm-hmm.
But I also had date nights with each one of my children. So we all had special time, three kids each day. Each kid got a different day, and we would go to the zoo, we'd go for a walk, but we had dates, we had special time, and then we had family time. I was always home when they were home. I just worked during the day when they were at school. And they have only known me as somebody who has a practice. I think they're very proud of me.
Mm-hmm.
My middle daughter, she's an interesting one. I would think she's the most needy as far as like, mom, don't work. If she ever said that, she hasn't said it.
My
But what's
second daughter told me about 4 years ago. No, maybe it was 5 years ago. Because I was like, I can't. I have a meeting. Da, da. And she's like, I miss the old mom. I'm like, it's the same
interesting.
mom.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But my middle daughter ended up at my alma mater, Tulane,
Oh,
and
nice.
now she's in my
Fun.
sorority and she wants to be a dietitian. And so I'm like, you know what? I'm doing something right if she is
She's
like,
watching her mother. Yeah,
yeah,
it's very. I have a very similar dynamic with my girls, so I feel that way. And that means that, like you said, creating those special moments and carving that time out for you and your children is so important.
yeah, yeah.
Wait, when does she graduate?
The Tulane,
Mhm.
she's a freshman, so she's just
Oh,
starting. But
okay.
my older one graduates in May.
Oh, okay. My oldest graduates in May too.
Oh, really? Where is she at
She's
school?
in Ohio.
Oh, so fun. So we're both Midwesterners. Yeah. I mean,
Yes.
they're both, yeah, I love
Yeah,
that.
totally. But the reason why I was asking about the Tulane one is that my second has so many best friends there. So she's in Miami.
That's
The
so,
whole
it is
wax.
a whole nother,
Party
yeah.
life there is like a whole thing.
Yes, it is. That's so funny.
Makes
Yeah.
Tulane look tame.
You're right.
It's
That's what I
crazy.
hear.
Yeah, it's very crazy. So going back to you and your practice, I want to understand that like do we just call you, or how do we actually engage with you to book your services? And then what does a traditional path look like? And I know there is no traditional path, but like why, why you over someone else?
Yeah, these are great questions. The reason you pick me over someone else is because you're done worrying about food and nutrition and you're ready for just peace around food and nutrition. I try and really simplify it. We cannot reinvent the wheel with food and nutrition, but we can worry less about food and nutrition. I love to reference that I call food bananas. All food is a banana.
Hmm.
And we eat bananas for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Sometimes we have a banana with a side of banana with a little bit more banana. And sometimes after dinner, we have more banana. There's no like sensationalizing or calling food a reward or a treat. We don't name foods desserts. We just think of it as food
Food.
and we eat it when we're hungry. The way that you can work with me is I almost feel like I have this kind of system in place. You can get to know me by reading my book. It's called This Is What You're Really Hungry For. I think you'll really get a sense of who I am when you read that, and you can listen to it on your walks while you're getting your 10,000 steps. If you want more than that, you can go into my masterclass and do, a self-guided 4.5 hour lesson. And if you want more than that, you can join my twice a month shifting patterns group where we meet and we work through things that keep us stuck and we meet in a private Facebook group. And if you want more than that or something separate, you can work with me separately and individually. And we do that privately. There's lots of ways to work with me.
Yeah, I love the fact that you offer this masterclass course because sometimes people just need a little bit of information.
A little bit. Yeah. And I have 6 rules. So you can either buy all of it at once, which is 4.5 hours, or let's say you're somebody who struggles with sleep, you can just buy that program.
Oh,
If you want
wow.
to just
Okay,
work
that's awesome.
on hydrating or you want to work on just eating when you're hungry and stopping when you're satisfied, you can just buy that module. So you don't
Mhm.
have to buy the whole thing.
I love that. I like options. So,
Yeah.
like, because sometimes people make you buy their whole program, and I don't want everything. Yeah.
Right. Right. You may not
Awesome.
need it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, I want to know, like, one of the questions I ask every single person who comes on the podcast is, what are your top 5 core values, and how do you use them in your day-to-day life?
Mm. I mean, honestly, my 6 rules are my core values, right? So, eating when I'm hungry, I just trust that food will be there when I need it. I move my body every single day. I don't eat foods that make me feel sick, meaning they give me gas or diarrhea or bloating or headaches. I wouldn't want to do that to myself. I really work on maintaining my sleep schedule.
Hmm.
I always have water on hand to hydrate my body. I think my 6 rules are like who I am.
Yeah.
Essentially, that is like my practice. Yeah, it's how I live. I think that would be the gist of who I am.
Hmm. So, like, I also heard that, well, one of your top values is accountability.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I would say that I'd probably say kindness or empathy.
Yeah, I would say that I see you. I
Yeah.
see you and I definitely feel you.
And
I
that's
feel
what I was
deeply.
talking about when I was talking about intuition.
Yeah.
Like, do you do it intuitively? Because what I see from you is that you see. Like,
Yeah.
not everybody has the capability to see.
Yeah.
We all have the skill. It's whether or not you've honed the skill.
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely I see beauty in every single person. That's
Me
really all
too.
I see. And then I just want them to see it for themselves.
Hmm. Well, and I think again, that's where we're aligned is that I see each person as their greatest value and
Yeah.
see their highest potential. And what I want is to just see them actualize that and realize
Yeah.
that. So I think that's beautiful. And I would say that that's what sets you apart. Like when we
Mhm.
say like, well, why wouldn't you want to work with somebody else? That is a gift and a
Mhm.
skill. Like you're not doing it because you're like, you know, you were called, it seems.
Yeah. I
Mhm.
feel that deeply.
That's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Just
Well,
want people to know it's easier than they think.
yeah, and they have choice.
Yes.
Hmm.
Yeah.
It's beautiful, right?
Yeah.
Like if we can all only understand that we have choice and it starts there, then all
Yeah.
things are possible, right?
Yes, I agree.
Well, I really appreciate our time today, and I know we're both on a time constraint. So, is there anything that you would love to share with our audience before we get off the call? I'm so excited to have you at Soulful, and I'm
I can't
so
wait.
excited to see you on the panel. You're only going to just shine more.
I can't wait.
Honestly, it's going to be
Yeah.
amazing.
The only thing I would say is if anyone's listening to this at any point, I do offer a book club. It's free and it's every few months, and we meet for once a week for 1 month and we go through my book.
That's
So
fun.
if you're having any questions or stuck patterns, like that might be a fun place to drop in and, you know,
I
engage
love
with me
that.
so we can work through it.
I love that. Can I ask you one question about your book? Was that an arduous process?
Yes.
Right?
It was a 20-year process and overcoming the fact that I wasn't a writer, but I am now.
For sure.
Right? Yeah. Yeah.
There's a writer in all of us.
Yeah. It's
I'm
not
in that
easy.
arduous process at the moment, so it just
Yeah.
it's like start, stop, start, stop.
Don't stop
Mm.
and block out everything. Do it or do it.
Time blocks, right? Yeah, I was
Yes.
talking about like habit stacking today.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
So,
I did it Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I just wrote.
that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah.
There goes your
Turned on
yeah.
turned on Mozart and just tuned out the world and wrote.
I'm going to say boundaries is one of your values.
Yeah.
You're really good at
Yeah.
setting boundaries.
Maybe I am.
I
Yeah.
think no, I think you
I
are.
didn't realize it, but maybe I am. Yeah.
Anybody could sleep at 9 is a miracle worker.
We're
So
gonna get you there. We're gonna get you there.
exactly. Well, I thank you for your time, and I
Thank
look
you.
so forward to getting to know you more, and I can't wait for March 21st.
Me too. Thanks for having me. I'll see
Of
you
course.
soon.